What's up, everybody? Good Friday morning. My goodness. Hope everyone's having a great one. Hope that you're being able to get out and vote, whether you live in a state that just has a simple mail-in ballot like I do up here in the Pacific Northwest. So we had 2 vote, or you did absentee, or you're heading to the mailbox today to drop it off, or you're going in line and voting. Hopefully you're not watching this because you're out there voting. I know not everyone's in the United States, but hey, you may have an election locally, so go vote too. Always be voting. Coffee. Yeah. So it's kind of early. It's Saturday or Friday morning, 9:30. Actually, not too bad, to be honest with you. I'm a little upset that we're about to lose an hour, though. Daylight savings time's right around the corner, and that's no fun. Buska's here. Aiden's here. Carl's here. Everybody's here. Everybody's here. My hair's all crazy. It's still drying. That's the only problem. It's the only problem with my hair. I agree. Timebender says let's get rid of daylight savings time. Everybody agrees. Everybody, I think at some point, just add a half an hour somewhere and then just call it good. There's no need. It's so complicated. Yeah, I think if everyone just adds a half an hour and then you're just good. Just done. 0402 is here. Good to see you as well. Nobody actually wants DST. It messes up everyone. Carl says, I agree. Daniel's here. First time watching stream. Love the Xamarin videos. I'm glad you like the videos. We live stream usually on Fridays. Depends if I have crazy Monday morning meetings. We have a really cool website that you all can check out over here on the internet. It's called live.net. And it has all the upcoming live streams from .NET and Visual Studio. This is a really cool Blazor WebAssembly pre-rendered application inside the .NET website. Ooh, .NET Conf coming up. Wow, 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 wow. That's cool. And yeah, you can come in here, check it all out, check out all the upcoming shows, everything that's going on here. This thing will pulsate red. It just goes whenever things are live. TBD's here. That's good as well. Let's see. California got rid of daylight savings times like 2 years ago. Did they? Oh, voted to get rid of it. That's right. I remember that. Everyone should just vote against it. Vote for it to get rid of it. That's complicated. Anyways, yeah. So you can go here to live.net. It's pretty cool. Check out all the stuff. Later today, around 2 o'clock, I'll be hosting back Mads K. As he built, I don't know what he's building, something. I don't know what he's doing. Something, my company, internal extension. It can be modified and used internally by any development team in any company. All right, I like that. So I usually host his show at 2 o'clock, which is quite fun. That's at 4 hours and 23 minutes. Whoa. Let's update our COVID stats over here. Let me launch my COVID app. Boop, 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 boop. Start. Boop. Yes, we just passed 9 million, 9.2 million, 234 as well. So please wear a mask when you're out voting or just out and about anywhere. So anyways, hope everyone's having a great day. Today I'm going to be looking at some C# 9 features this evening at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9:30 a.m. Singapore time. I'm going to be doing a keynote at the .NET Dev Summit, which is a great community-run event. This is the second one in the series. I've talked to both of them. Run by local user groups with support from the .NET Foundation and .NET team members, like my colleague Nish Anil, who's over there. And he's based out of India. I'll be doing a keynote. Gonna have some friends. Safia will be there from the Blazor team. Maddie from the Xamarin team. Mads will be talking later about C# 9, and then also Nish is going to be helping me out with some microservices stuff, which is really cool. So we'll see how that goes. Bum, 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 bum. Carl likes my cool screen wipes mode thingy. Oh, this is the wrong thing. I'm in the wrong mode. Oh my gosh. I was doing some fancy, there we go, I need this button. I was doing some fancy video editing on this machine on my YouTube channel, and then I forgot to put it back over. Huh. So we're there. Boom. Let's see. Ooh, lots of questions in the chat today. I like that. Lots of chit chat questions. Okay, one question Daniel asked, a long one. Is there any type of initiative to make the implementation of behaviors more simple, like the use of animations? That's a good question. Well, I would say that yes, I guess. If you look at the Xamarin Community Toolkit, let's see here. Squirrel outside. Where is it at? There you go. I wouldn't say it's necessarily like the internal deep, but this is sort of a library on top of all that stuff that aims to simplify it. So there's a whole bunch of nice little helper methods, animations, and behaviors, things like that. It's a good place to start, I would say, definitely, to give that a look. But I don't know. You could probably look at the Xamarin Forms GitHub and see. Tim asks, any plans to integrate Roslyn source generation that generates iNotify property change? I think someone probably has done it. I think that it should be general. Who is asking that? It depends, right? Because there's a lot of ways to do it. There's already stuff like Fody that does stuff today. There's probably simple iNotify property change stuff. So, for example, do you want it to just always call it when it changes? What should the check be? What should the implementation be? What if there's a dependency, like, only update this value, but also update this value? What does that sort of look like with attributes that you could put on it? I wouldn't mind like a simple attribute that does just normal, like, hey, this needs XYZ. But this music seems a little loud. I'll turn down just a little bit here. But yeah, I would imagine someone's gonna do it. So I'd imagine. All right, let's lunch and learn, people. All right, so let's go over to, I don't even know where to begin. I'm just gonna type in C#9. That's what I just did into DuckDuckGo. So there's probably two blogs by Mads, I assume. And what I was interested in doing today is maybe taking MVVM helpers and doing it. Yeah, it depends what you're doing, right? Yeah, if you need something further, Dan says. This is by Mads. Welcome. Oh, and then this is just, this is the docs. I like that. Well, there's only a few things in here. Oh no. It's supported in .C#9, top level statements, records. I was fascinated to see, Frank and I did an entire podcast on C#9, and yet I still don't remember anything. Mostly I just wait for Visual Studio to give me little notifications. Okay, so let's see. So this is good old Mads. I like this. We can post some links to these articles here. Weave all the things, Steven says. I guess. I don't know. I guess source code generation kind of makes a little bit more sense. I guess because it can be smart and it only needs to do it once. Yeah, it depends. I think if I could, like, okay, so if we took MVVM helpers, I think I should have this locally, right? Let's see. Let us see. I do not, I guess. I don't know how I don't have it. Oh my gosh, I like that it like keeps it there. I don't know why this is so long. GitHub. Boop. No, okay, fine. So what I was fascinated in was, come on, Visual Studio. Using previews. That's interesting. what I was interested in doing is seeing if there's anything inside of MVVM helpers that could be C# 9ified. You know, there's like commands and other things. Ooh. Merc, thank you for the follow. Oh my goodness. I'm not exactly sure. There's like, you know, takes in some stuff. It's kind of fascinating that like the base controller like calls this. That's also kind of weird. There's an argument. There's a bunch of other stuff in here. An I command. Like I was curious if there was any. There's an image in here. Oh, that's the images. Invalid command property. Like I didn't really know if there's anything that could be cleaned up a little bit in here because there's all these. Why are these all nullables? That's weird too. I'm just gonna need to look at the C# 9 features, I guess. But all right, cool. So let's look. So Matt says we got some init only properties. Okay, that's cool. These are like records, I think. Object initializers are. I wonder if there's a video. Let's see. We're gonna do a lunch and learn today. C# 9. I have to do a demo of C# 9 later, so that's sort of what I need to do, and that's why. C# 9 language features. 22 minutes with Jared. All right, let's see here. Doing a little lunch and learn with the squad. Okay, let's see.
Today's on .NET show, we're going to be talking with Jared Parsons about C# 9.
Rich, you need a new microphone.
Talking about records. They let you write so much less code. If that's interesting to you, stick around.
I'm interested. Rich. Rich, I'm interested in it.
Welcome to another episode of the On.NET show. Today we're going to be talking
Rich
with
needs
Jared
a new
Parsons
microphone,
about
that's for
C#
sure.
9. Welcome, Jared.
Hey, thanks for having me, Rich.
Hey, Jared. Okay.
I didn't quite make it. By traditional objects, I mean, in university, in C# of letting you define nullability, but also catching up on a lot of stuff that didn't quite make it into C# 8.
Okay. That makes sense.
I think he's using his laptop microphone.
All right.
I'm 99% sure.
As I said today, I really want to
Although Jared sounds okay.
About records. And so records are a new way in C# of letting.
So Jared's got, you know, he's got, you know, this big open area. Now this could capture some sound. Now, if we look at like, so Rich, right, he's got glass. So this is going to reflect back here. I mean, he really can't do anything unless he puts a blanket up there. So if we were to diagnose the setup here, right? Yep. It's okay. So there's a few things that are not too bad over here. So Jared's got, you know, he's got a little area over here that maybe will bounce some sound and then take it down the hallway. But he does have this, but there's nothing on here to sort of capture that sound. So ideally, if he was to put some, you know, stuffed animal, something on here, this may really help capture the sound, right? Now Rich, again, he most likely has a laptop right here. Yep. He probably has a laptop here, and here's a little microphone. He's speaking at it, but my assumption is that he's speaking this way and that it's speaking into the wall, right? Now, if he was to put a big blanket right there, that'd be good. Yeah, that's why you got all the Xamarin Monkeys over here. This thing. I literally bought this because of that. Now, also, we don't know what the floors look like. If they're hardwood floors, which I assume by looking at, I don't know, this cool background, then maybe he's got these, you know, barn doors. You know, they're open, which is good. Like I leave my closet door open right here on my right-hand side. I have my closet open here because I have all of my clothes in here, right? And the reason I want to do that is because if I'm speaking this way or if some sound bounces, so often my microphone is placed here, okay? And it's going to, if I talk this way, it's going to bounce off of this wall and hopefully get caught into the closet, which would be ideal. I also have a rug on the floor on top of the wood floor, so that would be good too. So yeah, goes to watch. I like hopeful here. Goes to watch a video to learn some C#9 feature, diagnose and analyze audio streams. It's true. I've been watching a lot of when I moved into let's see if I can get my microphone to stand still. I'm not saying that my audio setup's perfect either, by the way, but we're just diagnosing what's going on wrong with Rich, because he's got some nice headphones here. These look like studio headphones. These look like Bose. Seems fine too. Anyway, let's continue.
Nullability, but also catching up on a lot of stuff that didn't quite make it into C#8.
But see, Jared sounds okay.
Okay, that makes sense.
I'm gonna get Rich a
Okay,
microphone.
we get started.
All right. So as I said today, I really want to kind of talk a bit about records. And so records are a new way in C# of letting you define class types. And particularly, these are meant for types which really act as values instead of traditional objects. And by traditional objects, I mean, in university, you're kind of taught that the job of types is to encapsulate state and essentially hide it from your consumers. They should really only indirectly access it via methods and properties. In theory, you should be able to swap out all your state, and the consumer should be kind of none the wiser. Value style objects are kind of the opposite of this. Their behavior is really defined by their state. For instance, like if you think about like a point, like int x, int y, the entire object is defined by that state. And those type of objects generally kind of eschew encapsulation. Instead, they just say like, hey, here's my x and here's my y, like access it all you want. And these are fairly common types in programming in general in .NET as well. I mean, if you think about any kind of JSON programming you've done in C#, you've stubbed out a whole bunch of JSON values to go in and out of your serializer. And those are effectively all like value style objects. But in addition to kind of exposing their state, these objects tend to want.
You can also see here, Jared also has one more issue that we'll point out here. Jared has this light bulb right here. Now, Jared can no longer control. So I have a light up here, right? But I also have lights going on here that I can color temperature control. So Jared could get some nice light set up here, but he also has this one big glaring light, right? Which his camera, unfortunately, pointing upwards, right? Here. So it'd be like if I had a light here that you had to stare. It's like you're staring at the sun the entire time. That's another one small issue there, Jared. But I digress. Everyone's at home, but you can't control it.
Fairly common set of behaviors. Wow. They want to have equality, so the ability to appoint 2 points for the same x and y, so like they should be equal. They want to have deconstruction. They want to work with C# pattern matching, and like possibly they want to participate in immutability. And records come about because defining these types with these behaviors in C#, I mean, it's very doable. It's a small amount of code that can be, but that code is quite boilerplate. And it's basically the exact same for every one of these objects. And while it's cheap on kind of an individual object, if you look at the totality of your program, it really starts to add up. Like if you think of an ASP.NET application, you're using a lot of these value style objects in all of your JSON definitions, your REST APIs, your EF models, a lot of the helper types you use for your Razor views. And this small amount of work on the individual scale just adds up a ton on the scale of a program. And I think kind of the best way to demonstrate like the power they provide is kind of start building up.
So TBD says, pattern matching scares you. Why does it scare you? Because for small cases, I see it being very powerful, but I immediately imagine people abusing the power. No. Pattern matching is like, it's a kid's meow, to be honest with you. Like once Frank showed me F# pattern matching, I saw some of the Swift pattern matching, I was all for it. It's just like so amazing. There's like nothing, you don't have to use it, right? But there's just so many little things that can be really useful. Like it really helps with like different null checks or like, different like switch case pattern matching. There's a whole bunch of cool things. Embrace the pattern matching, I say. And we continue.
Not the sample from the point of view of a C#8 developer and kind of getting a sense of the work involved to make this happen. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start. We're going to avoid watching Jared do a ton of typing.
Oh,
we're going to start with a very simple person type.
Okay, so we're going to. So I think
what we're going to do here is say that, hey, I have a class person.
See what cool. A few cool things that happened so far is I think that maybe I'll do this demo. I wonder if I can steal this code from Jared. This seems cool. Okay, so one thing that I see here is really cool. Like this is in chat. So Jared, Parsons, true, Rich, Lander, true, right? Pretty cool. And so it's switching over P. This is a beautiful line of code. And then this is throwaway, so this doesn't even create anything. I like this. This is really cool. First name, last name is P1. So there's a lot. I want to watch the rest of this. What I'm trying to do is figure out what's a really good C# 9 demo that I can do in like 5 minutes that really describes some of the new features. So maybe he's going to mix in a few things here, which would be nice. I appreciate people watching along with a little commentary. Ask questions. I'm going to try to answer them. And also Mads has a session this evening. I'll post a link it's called the .NET Dev Summit as well. So let's see here.
Person.
Oh, see, he pasted. He didn't even do the person class. Okay. So I think we might be able to upgrade our monkey workshop. That could be kind of cool. I want to update it to Xamarin 5, Xamarin Forms 5 anyway. So that'd be kind of cool.
And it has first name,
last name. This is exactly what the monkey class looks like,
last
right?
name. And this is essentially kind of your minimal definition of a person. And
What
this
about
is
middle
what people
name?
really want to
Come on,
express
Jared.
at their core about the object. It has a first name and it has a last name.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you kind of look at the typical use cases, people want to be able to construct a person. They want to say like, hey, I want to create a person, Jared Parsons, or I want to create a person, Rich Lander. They also want these types to work well in serialization. I want to be able to pass my object through the serializer, get the JSON out.
That's a great demo.
Then I want to be able to pass that JSON back through the serializer and know that these two person objects, they're equal. They represent the same set of data. And this should remain true even through the act of serialization and deserialization.
Ooh, that's kind of cool, right? So what he's saying here is there's a P1 and a P2 right here. Now P1 has been serialized and then deserialized. And what he's saying is that this person here, P1, and this new P3 should be equal. Seems relatively legit, right?
And a lot of times when you start getting into kind of newer C#, and you start looking at like C# 7 where we added tuples, or C# 8 where we added pattern matching, you want to start to be able to decompose these objects and deconstruct them and essentially pull this first name and last name out of the object and just treat them as individual fields. You also want to be able...
seeing these squigglies, by the way?
Oh, it's because we haven't enabled this behavior yet. This is the work that we have to do in C# 8. We're starting here with...
Let's see. TBD says there's a minor typo, console right line. Oh, let's see if I can go back a second here. He had it. This one, right line, is equal. Oh, yeah, you're right. That should be P3. Yeah. Maybe he fixes that.
Oh, it's because we haven't enabled this behavior yet. This is the work that we have to do in C# 8. We're starting here with
C# 9.
Here's the values that this is what I want to type. This is this person object is the core of what I wanted to express. I just have a first name and a last name. And here are all the things I want to do.
Oh, I see. Yep.
But it all comes with a price. And so, like, for instance, the first set of squigglies is we have to get the constructor working.
Yep.
And so in order to do that, we're going to have to...
Oh, I see now.
Rich sees.
Define a person object.
Gotta get that person.
String first name, string last name. This is all... We've all written this code I don't know how many times in our lives.
Yep.
And so now that takes care of kind of the first set of squiggles. And then the second set of squiggles, we basically have to now tell our object, okay, we want to participate in deconstruction. We want to work in all these pattern matchings. And so we essentially have to define the opposite of a constructor, a deconstructor.
Oh my goodness. I don't know when the last time I've done a deconstructor.
And we get to watch Jared do a bunch of typos.
Oh, wow. Whoa. Oh, wow. Oh, that's fascinating.
Now, see, like, with a little bit of work, we've essentially got the program compiling now, and we have all the behaviors.
That's what we're learning, Sparky.
F5 through the program, what we're going to see,
whoa,
once my super fast laptop starts up, is that it's printing out the JSON we are getting the deconstruction here. We can see that it is pulling the names out, and it is working in our pattern matching to see if Rich is in the chat or not. However, you'll see up here that P1 and P2 equality is false. It means we are not getting the equality we
Should be
wanted
P3,
out of
like
this
you
example.
said, yeah.
And that's because we haven't even added equality to this system yet.
Yeah.
And to spare everyone the tedium of watching me type equality, we're just going to paste that in here. And so that is adding the operator equals, the various equal methods, the hash codes, and then going and adding the I equitable interface.
So here's a cool thing. So like let's so I'm going to do this. Okay, so if we did a new project here. All right, so I'm going to create a new load those templates. So many templates. Okay, so one thing that's fascinating here. So console app next. Yep, okay, console app, cool. And .NET 5. Hello, I like that. Like that. Okay, so one thing that I found was, so this is I equatable, right? So if I did a public class person, public string first name get set, and then public string last name. Now, I'm pretty sure that you can do something like I equatable and then sub person, right? You just do that, right? And I believe you can say implement. Oh no, isn't there a way to do it? Equatable. I thought there was a way to do generate. No, maybe it's I. Didn't we do this in? Oh man, I thought that there was a way to do it where you could just. Oh man, there's not a way. I thought there was a way to just like implement it. I tweeted one time. I thought there was a way to do it for generated the equals. Yeah, I thought that there was a way just for it to do it automatically. Man. That's a bummer. I swear in Essentials, you can, oh, maybe it's a struct. No, we did it with, hold on, we totally did it with something in here. And that's what we're thinking about. I think you're right. So if I did barometer and then I did like the shared, oh, it's yeah. Read only struct. Yeah, we did do it. So yeah, you do have to do this. It's all this craziness here. But I swear that there's an easy way to do it. No? Oh man. Maybe you need a public person in here. Creatable person? I guess that'll have to be recommended for structs to implement for all those. Maybe do it here. Oh, here you go. So yeah. So here it is. You do it on the generate equals, and get hash code. So you actually have to type on the person, quick act, or I did it on the class, or you can do it on the person. And you should be able to do this. Boom. And then it should just do this, right? But it's not all of it. That's the thing, is he's showing ReSharper has a feature to do it. So this is close. Does the hash code combine? But what he's showing is you still need all this other stuff in here too. Equals, toString, the operators. Is there other ones in here? Oh, and you need to do this. Oh, it didn't do it. Shrek base. There's also, yeah, that's what we're learning about. So, oh, that's a bummer. Okay. I thought maybe I'd be able to kind of show like, oh, look at it do this, right? And then it doesn't. That's also fascinating. So I would have thought that there's other, which is a person. Oh, fascinating. So that just does this, which is like the same as this, but not really. But I guess you could just call, for example, return equals other. I don't know, does that work? Oh no, that definitely does not work. Yeah, anyways, okay, cool. So that's fascinating. I would have thought that that would have worked overall. There's a generator options. Oh, there is. There's the toString. And then, no, I don't see it. Do I have to do it on the struct? Nope. I need to do it on this. I thought maybe there was a way to do. Oh yeah, you're right. There it is. Boom. Yeah, there you go. So you could do it that way. You're like, oh, we could turn it into a struct actually, and then boom, boom, boom. We don't need this. Although you would need those other things. Okay, cool. And then this thing you'd actually need to fill in. So you'd have to like copy and paste. Oh, I guess you could, instead of overriding, I guess I could just make this a person, right? And then that would fulfill this request. Okay. So yeah. Oh, it does not and it also has to override that. Oh wow, that is fascinating. Oh, boom, it just does it. Oh, nice. Oh, cool. Interesting. Fascinating. So look at the order of operations here, right? So if I did this and you did this thing, I should be able to say, let's go ahead and first do generate. Oh yeah, generate equals. Generate operators. Ooh, you have to do generate operators. That's what you need to do. And then you would do generate get hash code. And then it's almost there. Generate overrides. toString. This one still doesn't like it. So I guess you would do that. And then you would just, there's a way to do it. Okay. Anyways, we're closer. Let's go back to the video over here. All right. So that's fascinating in general. We're going to delete all that code, I'm assuming, here very soon. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh. So you would do, yeah, there's this, right? So you could say, I think you'd put, I think you end up just doing like, oh, and then you do person. And then I think if you do that, then I think it's like, oh, you need to also then define this, which then does it the correct way. It's a little weird order of operations there. Together. Fathom, thank you so much for the Fate Meh. I was going to say Fate Meh. Thanks for the follow. I appreciate that. All right, so there's a few ways of getting it all in here, but that's a lot of code. Okay, let's now see what's going on over here. Let's go back to this. Jared's going to solve it.
And as you can see, like, so now if we run the same.
Yeah, the TBD says, I love that after years of using the tool, I still find myself surprised. It's in there. I remember because I think Dustin Campbell showed me that one day. He was like, you can just right click and do that. I was like, what? And Chase, yeah, you were correct. So that's what it needs to do, but I wanted to like implement it. So hacking it. Morning, Bill. How's it going? Watching a video together.
Where we're going to see
on the stream.
Now equality is working. We're getting deconstruction.
Oh, what did he do?
Matching is working.
Oh, because he implemented IEquatable. I see.
And as you can see, like, so now if we run the sample again, what we're going to see is now equality is working. We're getting deconstruction. The pattern matching is working. And we essentially have this functional type now. But the cost of this type, if you look, it's about 35 lines of just basic boilerplate code.
Too much code, Jared.
It only has one way to be written correctly.
Yeah.
And it's kind of tedious code, and it's really kind of even error prone on a scale. For instance, if I come back later and add new fields to this type, I have to go and update every single one of these methods in order to keep this to be a consistent, correct definition. And this is where records really come in and start shining. They recognize that we define so many types like this in our program. And if we don't, the reason we often don't define these types is because we get lazy and we're like, well, I can skip equality because I'm not really using it today. Or maybe I'm going to skip deconstruction because I just don't want to code it out. But with records, I can basically take this entire like 40-line definition and I can replace it with record person.
See, the only question that helpful has would be a struct instead of a class would be a change for that per record person. I think that it's relatively similar. I mean, in that case, it could definitely be a struct. I don't see any other. It doesn't need to be really. Yeah. Yeah. Smarter generators. Yeah. Could be. The adding fields, doing other stuff. I think that's the problem, right? So.
And now.
Did it solve
all the
it?
code I wrote before is still there. It all compiles. And if we execute this code, we will see that I get the exact same behavior as before.
That's a good demo.
Pretty JSON output. Our records are comparing equally. All the deconstruction, all the pattern matching is working. And I've done it with just this tiny little definition, this very concise thing.
So this is definitely going to work for some people, right? In which you are defining a lot of different types that need to be serialized, deserialized, that don't necessarily need to update to like modify the user interface. Like you're not setting properties, right? The reason we have iNotify property change and we have a bunch of other stuff is because like we're entering data, but there's so many times in which we're only just reading data and putting it into the UI. That's half of my application. Often there's not times where I'm executing logic inside of it, right? So that's something to be aware of, which is fascinating.
And this is the core of what I originally wanted to say. I just said, I want a person and I want to have a first name and a last name. C#, can you give me all the rest of this behavior?
Give it to me, C#. Okay, so what I want to do over here is I want to kind of do this in real time and see if it actually works, right? So what I want to do is I should be able to. He has a static over here. I think that's what he's doing. It's just a program class. I think that he does var p1, and I'll do new person, James, and then I'll do anti-magno, right? And then we need our public person. And this would be string first, string last. Oh, and he also has the deconstructor in here too. That's very fascinating too. So he would then have first and then last name equals last. And then I guess this was a class. So he just had still had a class in there. And he had a public void deconstructor, which I'll tell you, I never do. Out string first, out string last. And then he did first equals first name. So it's like the opposite, right? And then last equals last name. I guess, yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. So he had that. And then let's say we had var p2 and we had new person who's speaking after me. Maddie is going to speak after me. Leger. Okay, cool. So he then said var JSON equals JSON serializer, just built right in. That's beautiful. P1 console.writeLine. And he did JSON, cool. And then he did var p3 equals JSON serializer. I love that it's just built right in, right? Deserialize person bound together now and forever. September, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate that. So we're deserialize that JSON, and then we should say var is equal. We'll say p3 equals, I want to do p1 equals p3. And here we're going to fix this code and say console.writeLine, and we'll say p1 equals p3. Oh, and he has this cool little is equal. There we go. Cool. So now we're good. And then we're going to say var. I've never really done the deconstructor. So that's actually kind of a nice feature only because I haven't used it. So this would equals P1. Interesting. So that allows you to use these variables separately. Oh, does that work? Maybe I didn't spell it right. Deconstruct. There we go. Cool. Okay, so then you can do console.writeLine, and then we'll do first or last name, and then first name. That's cool. And then console.writeLine, and then he's saying, is James in chat? And then we'll do is in chat P1. We'll say is Maddie. We'll say Maddie because I'm actually using the second person. P2. And here we'll say create the program. All right. And then here, this is cool because he's got a really cool, it's going to just be P. Got a cool switch, which is P switch. So on the person switch, and then we're going to do James, Monty Magno, true. Oh, I wonder if that works. Yeah. Maddie, Leger, true, underscore. Just kind of throw that away. False. Okay, cool. Does this work? So this should hopefully work out of the box. And let's see. Oh, no, it doesn't. Oops, I did this. Yeah. There we go. So that should work. Looks like object destructing from JavaScript. Yeah, probably, yeah. Looks, ooh, each parameter and constructor must bind to a property. What did I do wrong? Must be case insensitive. Maybe I need to do first name, last name. Maybe these actually have to be correct. I don't know. I should have followed the directions. Did I do it wrong? I have a nice narrator voice. Thank you. I've been crafting my narrator voice for years. Okay. Oh, so actually that name is that's also fascinating, right? So because I didn't have either these or the deconstructor names correct, I didn't know how to deconstruct it. Cool. So, okay, so this does work, right? So we got this going on here. That's good. Cool. Okay, cool. So what Jared is saying is that I should be able to just copy this all out and say, I don't need this. In the record, and I'm pretty sure this should be enabled. It should be record. It is person. And I can just copy and paste. Ooh, see, that's the difference. You want string first name with the actual name of it. And then, so that kind of feels weird because you are, having to do, camel casing here. Like you're used to this, right? But this would be your variable because now if I go P1 dot, ooh, I can destruct. Oh, I just get a destruct method. I get first name, last name. Cool. That's amazing. And does this still work? I assume yes. Maybe. Oh, yep, there it goes. Boop. Okay. What else does Jared have to tell us about records? Because he's got 12 minutes left to tell us more.
So that makes sense. I've played with records, so I was able to see through to the end.
Look at Rich. Rich, I know everything about records. Classic Rich.
Can you talk a little bit more about the equality nature? Because, most people in C# use classes. And as you just demonstrated, classes, their equality semantic is based on object identity, not based on the content that they hold. And so can you give a sense of, when people move to this new equality scheme, like, I guess their programs are going to act differently. Talk to how people should target this new equality system.
So this equality system is really essentially embracing the idea that the types that we want to use as records really represent value.
This is fascinating too. So what's going on behind Rich back here is this looks like a closet, actually. I thought it was a thoroughfare here. And it looks like he has a bunch of office equipment and papers and stuff. I would be very fascinated if he had just opened these doors. It may look cluttered though, so maybe that's why he shut it. I'm not positive. But if the audio, right, so he's speaking this way, it's going to fire back and ideally miss his. So I think what's happening here is Rich is speaking into the microphone, but he's going to get the echo because it's going to go over here, hit his back window, and then come back to his microphone because it's glass, right? It's just going to bounce right back off. It's not going to, but maybe if he opened it up, it could suck in some of the stuff. That'd be fascinating.
They represent essentially something closer to structs than classes in a lot of ways, because you're not saying that essentially the identity of an object is not the instance. The identity of a record is really saying, are all the values in my record equal? And so that's very similar if you kind of want to take the mentality of structs, where by default structs essentially do field by field comparisons. And this is what you get with records, is we're saying, hey, these are just a collection of values that we're attaching a very common set of behaviors to. And one of those is equality.
Right. So this records very much kind of blur the lines between classes and structs. Like when people think about classes and structs today, they either talk about passing by value as opposed to by reference, or they talk about stack allocation versus heap allocation. They actually mostly don't talk about this equality issue, probably because it's just taken for granted. I guess like how do you see people talking about records within that continuum? I guess maybe just as you've just said.
Yes, it's just embracing that these, when you are right that they do sometimes blur the line between, is this kind of more like a struct or is this more like a class? And equality is a place where it is much more like a struct. It's very much saying that the identity, the actual identity, the allocated object, like doesn't really matter. The identity, what makes two records.
So that's the difference, right? Is like we're saying is the reason the first time the I equatable, he didn't really explain that. The reason the I equatable was false is because the default equals is saying like, is this object in memory space equal to this object? So when you have your original P1 and you serialize it and deserialize it, like that's a brand new object on the heap, stack, one of the two, right? It's there. Heap, 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 heap. Someone will say heap or stack. Class, heap, struct, stack. Something, right? Something. Yes. So that's why that was there. But when you say I equatable, you're literally saying, hey, what I'm really fascinated in is like, am I not interested in the instance of the in-memory object? What I'm interested in is like, are the variables inside of this thing there? And that's what like a struct would do, right? So
equal is basically, are their constituent parts equal? And that's why they default to the struct-based equality mechanisms.
Okay. So I don't know what you were wanting to talk about next, but the thing that I was curious about was the immutability aspects of records.
Yes. So one of the beauty parts of this is generally, immutability in C# is something that you kind of have to pay for. C# is largely a mutable by default language, where we have certain constructs where you can opt into immutability if you want. For instance, like read-only structs, read-only fields, and what have you. Records is one place, though, where immutability is the default, especially when you use positional style records, as I've done here. So you'll notice that if I come up here and I attempt to basically change the last name to another one, you're going to see an error because this property does not have an accessible setter, and so I cannot set it. However, records also provide, like when you're dealing with immutable objects, you do want to change fields, you do want to change states, but the way this is done with immutable objects is you create copies of objects and essentially change the state that matters to you in that new copy. And in C#9, we allow you to do that with a thing. Records come with a thing called withers, and so I could essentially change.
Amen. Thank you so much for the follow.
The value of last name by saying like I want to have P1 with the last name. Oh, that's my wife's last name, and so I want to basically. And what this will do is it takes P1, it creates an entire copy of it, changes the last name, the bone, and returns the new object. And you'll see that this construct here looks a lot like object initializers, which is very familiar with C# programmers. And that's because it's the exact same construct. Like anything you can do, the types of operations you can do in an object initializer, you can do here.
Interesting.
You know, if I misspelled my name, as I want to do. But here's the thing, like you're not, and while immutability is the default in records, especially when you go with positional syntax, it is by no means required.
So immutability,
if you are someone who is like, you know, I understand immutability has benefits, I've read a lot about it, but it's just not for me. I'm really much more comfortable with having my record types be mutable. That's completely fine. You can add that in very easily by just saying.
Oh, interesting.
Just define the properties and have them be normal, mutable properties.
So it's kind of like you're overriding
nothing has changed. I've gotten no new red squiggles. You can see that this with expression, where I create a copy of the object and change a field, it's still working. You're doing exactly what it did before. But if I didn't like that, if I said, no, I want in place, I can now just say last name equals home. And it works great.
Okay, so that's kind of a key, is that a record, right? It has that really short one-line syntax if you just want a mutable object and state in there, sir. But the difference, I guess, if you look at that, you can extend it, right? So you can, it's still kind of like that class struct stuff. There's still stuff inside of there. That's fascinating.
So that all makes sense, and it's great that people are going to have choice on mutability versus immutability. You know, you've been able to do immutable style programming with C# for some time. It hasn't been as nice as this. Do you feel like that people are going to finally adopt immutability as a kind of commonplace pattern now that records are there, and make it significantly more easy?
I think so we're seeing, like, especially when we look at customer code, I work on the C# compiler team. We interact with customers a lot. You know, when there are compiler bugs, there are no compiler bugs, but we interact with customers anyway. And we can see a lot of the code, and you can definitely see the transition that people are embracing immutability more and more. And I think records will help with that because they make it easy. But actually, that also kind of transitions to the next thing I want to talk about, which is init-only properties. So just like if you look back in the history of C#, when we do big features like records, it's usually composed of several other smaller features. Like if you go back to link was composed of anonymous types, lambda expressions, and extension methods. One of the features that makes records work is what we call init properties.
Yeah.
So init properties are this idea that up until now, if you wanted immutability, there was a price. So if you wanted to, for instance, like let's go back to kind of the typical.
Yeah, I'm assuming so. Chase was asked if there's interested in syntax, a C in the constructor. If the first name is null, throw an argument exception. Yeah, init properties, new favorite addition. I think that you could, well, I don't know if you could, but my assumption is that you can make those non-nullable, right? Or nullable, non-nullable, right? With the C# 8 feature of non-nullable. That's what you probably do.
Point example.
So
So
it's
if
getting fancy here.
you wanted to define an immutable type in C# 8, you would define a point type like this.
Yep.
Where you would say like, hey, I have a point, it has an int, an x, and a y, and I have a constructor. And the way I make it immutable is I basically have getters with no setters. And this works fine. This is just a completely acceptable way to find immutable types in C#. But it does have a limitation, because it means now, if I want to use this point, like I'm actually now like limited in how I construct it. I, for instance, can't say new point x equals 42, y equals 13. And this is something that I could have on all of my mutable objects.
That's a cool one.
But once I go to immutable code, I can no longer do that. And that means both that immutable code in C# had less fluid construction and a higher cost to the type authors because it required them to write constructors, even when they didn't need to.
Wow.
But starting in C# 9, we now have this thing called Init Properties. And what these are is init.
So this is kind of a cool demo, actually, when you think about it. Maybe I'll even start off doing this, right? So imagine you just have another class here. I'm like, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a class, and let's just talk about init properties, right? So I'm going to say this is a point. I like the point example. Everybody loves a good point, right? It's very, very point. Boop. Okay, so we did a public. I don't know why you did a sealed class. So we do a point. You do point. Public int x get public int y get, right? And then I kind of feel like you then have a public point. Let's see here. So TBD says, oh, there's a lot of good concern. I mean, the concept of working through videos in a stream, that's what Sushinator likes. I like that. Yeah. I mean, it's only a good way to learn, I guess. Everyone learns different, but at least for me, it's nice to have the declaration, then do it while you're doing it. That's why I often find a lot of people will watch like longer form videos and kind of, I remember I made a tic-tac-toe game live on a stream, and then I had someone that was like, yeah, I just kind of stopped and did the thing as you were going. Yeah. TBD says, I asked the other week if you could use a generic constraint for a record, but being that they may or may not be immutable, I can't understand if that's much use now. Interesting. I don't know. Good point. Monkey. I think for a monkey class, this is ideal type of thing. Yeah. So we did int x, int y, right? And then here, what we're saying is x equals x, y equals y. So what he's saying is that if you did void m, right, you can't do var point equals new point, and then you can't do like, yeah, x equals 42, y equals 21. So you can't do that. But if you do init, which is a new word, right? He's saying now, that's very fancy. I like that. Kind of like makes it so it's a read only. Did that work? Oh, that didn't work. It didn't like this. There's no argument given that corresponds to int. Oh, I need a default constructor now. Ah, I gotcha. I see. I always wish that it just had the default one, right? By default, that would be ideal. Good one. Thank you, TBD. All right, let's go back to video because he's going to run into this issue, I assume, in a second.
Inits are a lot like setters, except for one big difference. They can only be used during the construction phase of the object. And so what that means is I am now can define my point that just have a get and an init. I can remove the constructor, and I can use object initializers just like I would be doing for a mutable object. And you can see here that it's completely acceptable to set X while I'm building up the object. But afterwards, if I try to change it down here,
Can't do that.
I'm going to get an error because the object's fully constructed at this point. Immutability has taken hold, and I'm no longer allowed to change the value.
That's cool. That's a great. That's
So
just
have you
a.
found.
That's just like a great. That's like a great. So it's almost good to explain that first, because that's the default for the record. You know what I mean? it's not a private setter, right? The idea is that now this is still immutable, where before you couldn't do this, right? You'd have to have the setter in there to do it. I guess you could do a read-only property in some case, yeah. I guess could you do a like public read-only z, oops, int z get set, right? Can you do that? I don't think that's oh, it's not valid. Not allowed to do that. Read only. Can't do that. Is it really immutable, or will it translate to a private setter? Well, a private setter would allow only my point class to set it. But see, my point class here can't set it, right? That's the difference, is if I did a private set on this thing, I would still be able to do this, right? Totally. The difference is that I would still be able to do point.x equals 44, and that would still be valid, right? So it's now it's mutable because I can change it in general, right? But it's more like a read-only thing. But I think with read-only, you don't get to do this. Pretty sure, right? That's the difference. So now I can't do it. See, now it's red because it's that. Yeah, that's fascinating.
You know, we've had several previews now of .NET 5, although I can't actually remember when some of these particular features came in. But have you found some cases where people have started to transition more kind of large style code bases over to these immutable features?
Yes, we have. We've had one nice thing is because of the way we preview C# now, where we actually check it into the main Visual Studio code base and allow customers to kind of flip a flag and start using these features before we're finished, it makes adoption of these like much simpler. And so we have gotten a lot of feedback from customers on this. Init Properties, mostly massively positive feedback. People are very excited about them, and they have started transitioning to them, as well as with records. We have a number of customers that are starting to use them, give us feedback, and they really helped us kind of like finalize the design with that feedback.
Nice. Okay, so we should probably transition to closing out this this video. What would you like to leave people with?
Yeah, Jared.
So what I want to leave people with is basically that when they're looking at, like, they should, when looking at their code and looking at all the times they've had these kind of like these small value-based types, like particularly if you look at your JSON serialization, all these small little types you define just to pack a few values and kind of throw them around in your program. You should really start to look at that and kind of ask yourself, like, is this just a collection of values? And if so, should I start using records to express them better when I adopt C# 9? And also looking particularly with Init Properties, like, can I make some of my objects, some of the types I've made before where I had maybe started using immutability, can I make it a lot simpler and a lot more fluid for my customers to use by embracing Init Properties?
Makes sense. So age-old question, are we going to start seeing people defining multiple types in a single file because of records?
Hopefully.
I really hope so. I mean, if people really want to have like 21 line files in their, project, I mean, more power to you. I would highly encourage you, though, to consider having records as a way to change your mentality and maybe let yourself define a few types in the same file.
Yeah, awesome.
All right, cool. So what I really want to do then is I think that, well, the first thing I want to do is push this up to GitHub. Here are my Git changes, create Git repository, public records and inits. We'll call this C# 9 demo. And then let's push this up. Boop. All right, cool. So I think the first thing, let me go ahead and put this down here. Put some background music. Oh, it's too far down. There we go. So Helpful says one of the more exciting features, I think, is code generation. While the only new files is a restriction, poking around the internet, I saw good point. C# 9 does raise some Limits on partial methods though, so you can generate about. Yeah, I think source code generation, to me, it's really cool. I feel like it's for the library creators. I could be wrong. Like I'm gonna create libraries to do this. I think when I'm creating apps, I'm gonna do it less. Overall, that's sort of my thinking and mentality behind it, is that we will use those a little bit different, right? We will use the source code generation from libraries maybe to do it. Like they'll give us attributes, they'll give us certain things to just generate the code, like a JSON serializer. Yeah, there you go. Serialization and non-serialization. So I think that might be fascinating. But what I want to do now, did I push this up? Hopefully, is it there? Oh, there it is. Cool. So that is there. So that's the code. Cool. All right. That's just good to have. I want to have that just chilling, basically. Yeah, hopefully more than that. Ideally, there could be like snippets that you could put in and out of your code. That'd be ideal scenario. Init only setters. So it was really these two features. A whole bunch of other stuff, but there's no docs yet. So, but no, I agree. From when people first saw it and we talked about it, Frank and I, he got really excited about it. So I think that we just need to see the use cases. And to me, any new language feature takes time to adapt and to learn, and for people to, you know, main stage it in general. So we'll kind of see how it goes. The one thing I wanted to do was there is a workshop that I did, and this is, I haven't updated in a bit, but I would love to, I mean, I updated it to I think 4 dot something, but let's look here. What I would love to do is open this. Yeah, I just think it takes time for people to get it going. Okay, so this should be a workshop. Now, ideally, what I would like to do is, so there's all these different, every single one has a different thing in here. So I want to see if we can take the finished version and see if there's anything we can do to like upgrade it to C#9. So I'll create a new branch. We'll say C#9 new branch. Boop. Okay. So I don't know why this did that. Undo stages. Okay. All right. So if we just open up the finished version, now the question is, can we should be able to turn on C#9 features in this project. One DOS assume. Let us see if this just works or not. Let's build it. I'm just fascinated to see if it just runs out of the box. It should. I probably need to upgrade it to like newer versions of stuff, but we'll see. And then maybe I think the model, the monkey stuff would be ideal because there's like a monkey class. I don't think it does much though. Yeah, see, look at this. I mean, it does nothing. And it doesn't do any of the cool stuff, right? So that is something in general. So yeah, I guess you could still do a get and set, and you could still have iNotify property change on stuff in general. I don't know if there's a lot cool that I'd be able to do in this besides just like, here's a record. And oh yeah. Oh, I want to try something, I think, too. Like, I'm curious if I can still implement iNotify property change on a record and then implement that on something. Huh. Can a record inherit from another record? No, I need to update. I definitely need to update this over here. Search. Because it doesn't even have hot reload. Oh my gosh. Definitely will need to update the version of Xamarin Forms soon. Okay, cool. So we don't modify any states. So like ideally what he's saying is I should be able to do a record of monkey. So the question is, yeah, how, so we can't turn that on. So we should be able to do a, we should be able to turn on latest. And then that should just work exactly. And ideally, you should just be able to delete this, right? Is external init public record? I don't actually know if it works. Like, does it work in a .NET standard library? Not common, not. Well, I mean, we just did the. We just did this. I don't know if it works in .NET Standard. That's the question. Well, it should just work because it's just a language feature. Well, maybe it's not a language feature. Maybe it is a. Predefined type. So, I mean, this is fascinating because I'm assuming that maybe it just doesn't work, right? It could be that it only works in a .NET 5 project. Also possibility there too. This is our version history. Oh, it's not in here yet. Lang version preview. Maybe that's what I need. Oh. Preview? Try this. I don't think it's a semicolon though. I think it probably just doesn't work in. And this should be a semicolon at the end. System runtime compiler is extra. My assumption is that this actually has something to do with the compiler, which I then assume that this doesn't work here either. I bet it has to be like, I think so. I don't think it'll, yeah. What is the what is the TFM? Yeah, I think you're right. Because kind of like .NET Standard is going to go away. So in an ideal world, it'd be like, well, I could just try to. I was hoping that like, you can use C# 8 features, right? But it could be a compiler. It's a compiler service. So my assumption is that it's not going to work. That's definitely a possibility. only because if it is requiring something that's inside of .NET 5 to work, then it's not going to work. Which depends. Like, I think maybe the init would work. That's also a possibility. We could see, like, if you did like public class test. Well, maybe that worked. I did public string test get init. Oh, maybe that worked. Maybe we just needed the reset. Nope. Nope. So these are specifically. So now it's like, no, didn't do it. So ideally you probably need to do like, yeah, what is it? Net 5.0. Is that what it is? Because you should do a new project and then I think, yeah, okay, so class library, because I don't think, yeah, you don't need a net standard library. And what does it say in here? Yeah, net 5.0. So, yeah, so that's definitely not going to work. Oh. So now it works, but yeah, you can only use it if it's going to be in net 5 applications. Okay, that's good to know. And we don't support that yet. So I think that, is it going to be compatible with? So I guess it is a compiler specific, version specific thing. So like, wow, you know, C# 8 is supported Net Core 3, which is also the same as, you know, Forms. Or Xamarin uses not Net Core 3, but also works just fine. Just there too. It implements it. So I guess probably it doesn't work then. To know. Oh, this is kind of what? To know what language you're currently using, put this in your code. Oh, that didn't work. Can I put this in here? This is language version preview. That's interesting. Yeah, net standard 2.1 will support it. You can use it in 2.0 as well, so you can work on your Windows applications, but not all features will work, right? If it's just a compiler feature, then it's not a big deal because Visual Studio is compiling the code. But if it's a feature like of the runtime, then it needs to implement it. So that would be the difference, yeah. Okay, well, I feel pretty okay about, I mean, I can't really do much now. So, all right. It's like, this is all of the, I wonder if you could do this. I wonder if it's, how's the top level? C#9 top level program. gone down the rabbit hole of this top level statements. All right, so this is actually like the thing. So there's only, so what would be, Can I go back? Okay, so we can't use any of this here, which is also fine. Okay, so this is good to know as I'm learning through it. Can I just get rid of... I can't put this here. I think for top level stuff. I don't know how top level stuff works. Mads told me to demo top level stuff like that. Whoa. Is not null. Okay. Performance interrupt, blah, 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 blah. New. Oh, that's cool. You could also do, I guess, this. Right? Nope. Wait, how does it know? Oh. Yeah, if you're a person that doesn't like var, you could use that. I don't know if that's any better. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's fascinating. Because this would be nice, right? Your private initializers. That's definitely the better case there. Okay. This is good code. Okay. Do you have a video on this at all? This record. He like literally told me all about this stuff, right? So it's like there's a data type. I didn't even talk about data members. I don't even know what that is. Data. Oh, I see. Data types are now record types. They changed that. Records are overwhelmingly intended to be immutable with init-only properties that can be non-constructively modified through with expressions. In order to optimize for the most use case, records change the defaults of what simple member declarations to form first name means. Instead of an implicit private field, as in other classes, blah, 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 in records, this is taken to be shorthand for public init auto properties. So that's the declaration data class. Data class. Data types are now, oh, they just call it record instead of data. So this blog post I see is now just record. Oh, okay, got it. Because this is from May, so things have changed, I see. Things have changed. Things have changed. Logical patterns. Whoa, so many things. I'm not 100% sold on that. Target typed. Thanks, Mads. 277 comments. Whoa, what a good blog post. That's crazy. Mads doesn't post much, but when he does. Let's see, Mads Torgerson, sharp 9 top level. I think there's a video. Ooh, Artilist coming in. Open up the champagne. Pop. Welcome everyone. We're just we've been learning about some C# 9 features. Welcome on in. We just did a really cool sort of demo application. We walked through a video. We've been watching videos. That's what we've been doing. Learning through video watching as well. Hope you had a good stream. How was your stream, Artilist? Ardalis. Malachi says, take a look at F# 3 and you'll see what's new in C# 9. I think that, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of overlap of, I think, always like C# becoming a little bit more functional, which is a good thing in general. So in different ways, right? Oh, Rabbit MQ. Oh, very cool. Yeah, we mostly have just been bopping around. We walked through a demo of, not this, walked through a demo of sort of turning all this person class into a record here, which is really nice. So all this kind of gobbledygook boilerplate code now kind of turns into this just simple record type here. We were watching a video on channel 9 that just sort of walked us through those steps and stages of it, which was kind of nice. I kind of understood records, and now I kind of really understand records, which is nice. And then I have a talk later today, Dotnet Dev Summit.com. Nish and I registered this domain name. And then there's this one for the Asia Pacific, which is cool. This is happening at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. SGT, which is Singapore time. And you can just watch the video inside here, which is nice. Yeah. So I'll be doing this one. We got Maddie giving a talk. Safia from the Blazor team. Mads is giving one. I want to do a little bit, but I don't want to take away from Mads' talk, right? So that's my key. I don't want to do. I have like a bunch of demos, but I don't want to take too much away from them. So, which should be cool. So, but I was trying to learn just a few different features. I guess like you could do, what I'm fascinated in, right, is like in the top level, like Matt told me to do top level statements. And if I did a new project, well, that's why I messaged him earlier. I said, "Hey, Mads, like I want to talk about just a few little C# 9 features. What should I do? I don't want to take away from your talk, but different people come in at different times, so it's okay for a keynote, I think, to sort of do a little sneak peek into the world of it." If you're brand new to the stream, I'm James Montemagno, by the way. I'm a live coder as well with R. Dallas over there on the Live Coders team. I work over at that small little startup in Redmond, Washington called Microsoft. I work on the Dotnet community team, previously the Xamarin team, so I'm all about all that stuff. Could you show the records feature? Yeah, we could do that. So, well, we did one earlier, so someone should clip that. But the idea, I'll actually send you the video. The video is great to watch. Where was I just at? Channel 9. This is what we just watched together. I said C# 9. And it was just the very first, this one.
Hey, Jared, thanks for being on the show.
Rich. And we also diagnose audio, but with Rich and Ev as well. So there's that, which is cool. So this is nice. It really just helps it's not going to be for your view models. It'll be more for your model class, right? So a good example of it would be, I can walk through it. But one thing that we were just looking to upgrade, and your projects have to support .NET 5, which my projects don't support yet. I've like migrated anything, but if you're like doing ASP.NET Core or .NET Core applications or microservices would be cool. So like an example would be something like this. Let me go ahead and like go into my Git changes. Let's undo this, right? Undo. Beep. Well, so like let's say you had a class like this, and like this actually is not super great, right? So you have this monkey class, and ideally you'd probably want to like generate the equals, right? And implement iEquatable and generate operators and click on that button. That's nice. That actually does everything for you. So like adds all this stuff in here. And my goodness, you might want to also override the get hash code inside of it, and then bingo bango, right? You get all this stuff inside of here, which is kind of nice. But that's a lot of lines of code. So what this is going to do is going to, oh, it didn't even do the, how do I do that? This should do, how come it didn't implement? That's generate. Where's the implement? It should do the implement generate a constructor, generate hash code. That's fast. Oh, there it goes. And then hit OK. There you go. So now we're going to have the hash code in there, which is there, this whole thing. Boom. So it's all these lines of code, right? So the idea is that if you want it to be equatable and you want to have these different data strings, records can simplify that a whole bunch. So basically you would just delete this and just put in that, and then you're done. So you just define all the different property types in there. That'll do iEquatable. That'll do all the things inside of there. And the difference is, like, if you had a public class of like test in here, and I don't know why that's mad at me. There we go. And then if you did something like public test, right? Oops. You did, why is this mad at me? Visual Studio is very mad at me about something. So you could do like var m equals, new monkey, and then you have to fill it all in, right? So blah 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 blah, and then if you did m dot, I don't think my IntelliSense is going to fill in, but you could override these. These are going to be immutable by default, so you could do that. Record is namespace level, but not class level. It's not a class. There's now you have the choice between class, struct, and record. And record is going to be an immutable by default type of data structure that will enable you to kind of streamline, simplify your code. You can also make it mutable as well if you decide to, but like this would be my monkey basically. And then I could create my monkey in however way I want to do it. But it would still be in my monkey finder model monkey, right? It would still be my monkey class in something like that. So if I was to come over and create a, observable collection of monkey, that would still work because it's just a record type now. It's like a better struct. It's like a better struct. Yeah, in a way, that is correct. Yeah. Did I post that video? Yeah, the video will walk you through kind of everything in there. Yeah. Is it equal to an F# record? I think inspired by, but not necessarily the same. I haven't worked with F# all that much, so I couldn't be 100% the same. You know what I mean? On there. But that's sort of the gist of it. That's a very short gist. You should probably subscribe to this channel and follow, and then you could watch that past video and rewind and do all the things. The one thing I was interested in was, so there's, I think I can just do this, right? Is that the thing I can do? Oh no, I have to like bring in a using statement. Indeed, I can do that. And I think then I could do, can I put the person top level? I mean, it's a very niche use case for that. But I think you could do, like, I think I could put a person now. Yeah, it's all about choice. I agree. Now what I want to do is new item. I wonder if there's a new record type. I don't think there is. That'd be kind of cool. Oh, scripting? Yeah, it'd be perfect for scripting, right? But now I did put the new record in there. Could I do like var p1 equals new person? Yeah. Wonder what this does. No, watching throne. Whoa, cool. Maybe I'll even show that off. That's pretty cool. So this will bring in my namespace. Although it's weird that it's inside the. Oh, there is no namespace. Yeah, you should be able to then do like string reverse. And then just do like a person P. And here I could just do like, because it should be like a, yeah, oh man, that's so cool. P dot first name. Wow. That's cool. Oh, I didn't do it. That's kind of cool, actually. I mean, for learning stuff, right? Extra, sure. Nice. That's cool. Yeah, you can just put the method right in. Man, should I show that demo? That's pretty short and sweet and kind of awesome. It's really fascinating. And then I guess could I do I could probably just pump a bunch of code in here, right? Like you could do this. And I could say like is in chat, right? And then I could do just declare, and I could do like dot right line. I think you can paste link. I think so. Yeah, true. Interesting. Man, that's so cool. I think that yeah, I bet if you did this, right? So in theory, I could do like, here's this person class, right? I could say, you know, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, let's move this into a new person.cs. Ah, that's a good feature, right? Just move the entire thing in there. Then, because we could remove all this. And then I could say, now one of the last things I think is there's just a bunch of gobbledygook here. So what if we just removed all of this, right? And what if we just moved this all into a top level program? The last thing I need to do is bring in this, right? I think the only thing I would need to do is get rid of this and then just say static and run it. Person.cs and have multiple records that are related. Ooh, yeah. That's a cool end to this demo too, right? Oh yeah, and you could say, oh yeah, or you could have a record and it's a monkey, right? And it's like string name, string location. And you could have another record that's a car and it's like string model, string make. Ah, that's the demo right there. That's the demo right there. Whew. That's dope. So I have a bunch of this code written up ahead of time, right? Which would be cool. Yeah, because the one thing that was what I can do is I think I figured out how to do this, by the way, is I think I figured out how to easily generate a bunch of code, right? So just don't do this. Like, here's this. And then what you could do is you could say, here's my person class. We've all had it. But normally what I need to do is I need to generate this stuff. And I probably want to implement this, IEquatable and my source and my generator operators. And now we got a bunch of code in here. I mean, look at all this code. Yeah, it was generated for me. But what happens when I add another one? Well, that's boom, 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 boom. That's when it makes it happen. Mm-hmm. Why do you think it makes it look ugly? I think it looks great. This is sort of like, I remember when Kotlin added this feature, right? It was a main feature of Kotlin. I think it just advances C#4. But the nice thing is you don't have to use it, right? If you want to use and write all this code, because maybe you don't need equatable or whatnot. You don't have to, right? That's another thing too. Additionally, you can do this, right? You can still do public string name, and you can do get set equals to name like this. So you can still do that. Let's see. Oh, high tech says, I think I'll be on board once someone figures out how to run code without having to compile it. Yeah, you can, there's interpreters out there that already do it. Yeah. .NET Interactive, yeah. It's all interpreted in the browser. Like if you go to go here, and let's say you do learn. This is that just is like an interpreter. I'm pretty sure this is the try.net interactive interpreter. It's like not actually just interpreting the code. It says compiling, but it's not actually compiling. It's not like there's a VM somewhere that's like running it, but it's just running the code. Also, there's a Xamarin iOS interpreter, so you can interpret your code inside of an iOS application. That's also a thing. You just do -- interpreter, and it'll put the iOS interpreter inside of your application. Yeah, that's how like all the Blazor, not the Blazor stuff, but the WebAssembly has an interpreter option as well. You know what I mean? Always be interpreting. Yeah, it's like Jupyter Notebooks for .NET. In fact, you know, there's an amazing new I gotta find, there's a blog post, I'm pretty sure by Maria. I gotta find it. Let's see. It's pretty recent. Yeah, this one. So .NET Interactive Preview 3, you can use polyglot notebooks inside of VS Code. This thing is mind-bogglingly cool, right? So this enables you, check this out. This enables you to have this IPNB or whatever file, like .NET Interactive, and this is all interpreted stuff, right? So it's just boom, inside of a file, so you can have kind of markdown side by side your code that you can execute inside of it, which is super cool. So if you were doing like machine learning stuff and whatnot, so you can add a code block, add markdown in between, which is really cool. So that's a neato one. Here's one that's like she's just opening a full notebook that just tons of. Oh, you guys have JavaScript inside of here too. That's cool. Well, that one's doing JS interop. That's cool. You have shared variables between different sections of code. Yeah, it's got a whole bunch of cool stuff in here. You should definitely check that out. That's crazy. This is like really cool for like machine learning, but also documentation, all sorts of stuff. Source code. Yeah, it's just right here. Oop. All right, what are we doing? Oh, I got. Ooh. Got a text message from my old boss. My goodness, what else are we doing? I kind of feel like I didn't stream long enough, but it's been 2 hours, so I'm pretty happy. I think we figured out the demo team, squad, psh, hi, psh, 5. Oh my goodness. Cecil says, I love .NET Interactive. I love you, Cecil. I'm going to say swimwear. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Oh my goodness. Oh, I like that little heart emoji. Oh. Yeah, Cecil, I think I figured out my demo for later today. Check this out. I mean, did that work? Oh no, I removed this person class. anyways, I figured out my demo. I'm very excited about it. It's going to be sweet and awesome. It's going to combine everything that we love in this world for C# 9. Hopefully I don't take too much away from ads. We'll see what happens. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Oh my goodness, 50 people hanging out. What are we going to raid next? Who's hanging out today? Hey TR, how's it going? Teams, that's not what I wanted to do. Oh, we got the Fluffinator 5 billion going on.
See, 15 months ago.
Anyways, let's go ahead and raid the Fluffster. Anyways, thanks everyone for hanging out. It's been an awesome day. We planted lots of trees. No new trees today. Although, let me look. We were at 39. You know, and I think there might have been some subs in between. It's on my channel analytics here. Okay, so we got this is in October. So I got to increase. We at least have one more. So we got 43 trees going on. So anytime we get a sub ad revenue, oh, we got $1 in ad revenue. Holy smokes, people, look out. Prime sub, that's 3 as well. Every dollar goes to the one tree project, basically. And then every dollar we donate a tree, which is great. So right now we're at 43 trees, which is awesome too. All right, cool. We'll probably hang out to the InstaFluff. He's Mug Friday, comfy sponsor project. I know he's working on something fun, I'm sure. Continue sub, it ends today. Oh my god, I think he just started streaming, which is cool too. Hope everyone has a safe Halloween weekend. We have little goodie bags. I don't know if anyone's actually going to go trick-or-treating though. I'm pretty much recommended not, but you know, I think we're going to do little baggies that we'll put out and see if that works, or we'll just have a lot of candy and Rice Krispie treats, like mini Rice Krispie treats. That's what we bought yesterday at the Rite Aid. Because I knew the candy would be a little bit on sale. Like, granted, like on November 1st, the candy will be on super sale, right? So that's a little interesting. But yeah, I hope everyone has a safe weekend. Don't go to any super spreader events. Make sure if you're in the US, you know, voting is coming up, or you're actively voting already, or you already voted like me in a beautiful state that allows mail-in voting, or you did absentee voting. That would be awesome as well. So make sure you get out there, and hopefully everyone can take the day off, or you get some time off to go out and vote, which is very important. On November 3rd here in the States, it's our election day. I will be two things that'll be going on. So the first thing is that we got the Dotnet Dev Summit going on tonight, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Singaporean time. Also, if you want to come hang out with myself and Mads Christensen, not to be confused with Torgerson, you can come hang out where he does his Visual Studio Extension show Friday, 2 p.m. That is in 2.5 hours. You can come hang out. I sort of live do that in the background, which is also super duper fun. You can also go to that .NET Live TV, which is going to be sitting there with all sorts of goodies coming up over the weekend, next week as well. Definitely check that out. Finally, we have, yes, there was a John Galloway last week. I forced John to help me do it, only because I had to go. We were buying a car for Craigslist and we had to drive far away to do it, and the only time to do it. Also, 2 weeks away, look out, .NET Conf coming at you. If you haven't done the save the date on there, make sure you put that on your calendar. Register tons of amazing speakers over 3 days, not only from the product teams, but also from the community. So definitely check that out. There's so much good stuff coming up in the next few weeks. Definitely go do that. Now, of course, like I said, please vote. If you have already, salute you for voting. I've already voted. It's already been counted. Of course, we can go online, which is really nice here. So, all right, let's go head over to the Fluffsters, InstaFluff 5000, and check it out. Thanks everyone for hanging out. Thanks for the help. Also hanging out and doing some C# 9 features. If If you're brand new to the channel, I code usually Friday mornings around 9:30 or so. They're really based on if I have team calls that I have to go to. I mostly try not to. I have it blocked off on my calendar, but can't justify it sometimes. So we're going to go raid the Fluffster. Thanks everyone for hanging out. Hope you have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week. Peace.